What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on, everybody? Hello, hello, hello. Hello, folks. Welcome in. My name is Adam Manis. You are at our live guided practice session. Come on through. What's up, y'all? While we're waiting, as you can see, we have a countdown for when this session is going to begin. Please put in the chat where you are practicing from in the world. I am in gorgeous, rainy St. Louis, Missouri. What's up? Vegas is already in the house. Huntsville, Alabama is in the house. What's going on, Wendy? Good to see you. A village near the city of Nice is in the house. NorCal is here. What's going on, everybody? Come on through. Denver's in the house. Is there anybody in Minnesota? I've got a Grand Marais. I won't put that over the keyboard. I know that triggers people. Coffee cup from the world's best donuts. Grand Marais, Minnesota. Come on through. Maryland Heights, Missouri. What's up, Donnie? You're just down the road. Havana's here. Says Norway. What's going on? Oh, thank you, Kevin. Ryan's on guitar. This might be kind of tricky. Some of these might be tricky on guitar. We're going to be doing some voicings. My go-to voicings today, Ryan. And they're pretty pianistic, so it might be frustrating, to say the least. Budapest is here. Sacramento is here. Eugene, Oregon. What's up, Joshua? Buenos Aires is in the house. Hanoi, Vietnam. What's going on? Greece, Boston, Charlotte, Connecticut. Rainy mountains of Coronado, Costa Rica. Frederick, Maryland. Netherlands is in the house. Selma, Brazil. People from all over the world are here. Paul Bird is here from southwest of Austin, Texas. What's going on, everybody? Tokyo's in the house. One of the all-time great cities. Miami, Florida is here. Cary, North Carolina, maybe? What's going on, y'all? More California. The Villages in Florida. That is incredible. The Villages. I hope you're watching from a golf cart. That's all I got to say. U-City's up in the house. What's going on? That's either... No, that could be a number of open studio employees. I'll be honest. That could be one of like 3 or 4 people. What's going on, y'all? Osaka is in the house. Toronto. Let me know where you are. Mexico, Tokyo. Another guitarist from Germany. How many guitarists are in Germany? Orkney Islands is in the house. Madrid is here. Beautiful Madrid. Austria. Trinidad is in the house. Poland. The Chicago burbs right up the road. London. Brazil. Upper Austria, not Lower Austria. From Detroit, but vacationing in Sherman Oaks, California. What's up, Dwayne? Detroit has more than its fair share of amazing pianists. Thailand is in the house. Not going to say the name of the town. Tel Aviv, what's up? Salvador Font, Majorca. South Africans in the house. More South Africa. Yes, you have 1 minute and 38 seconds to get coffee. Jamaica's in the house. What's up, Jamaica? Malik, what's happening? England's in the house. What's up, Mets Music? New Jersey. Cordoba. What's up, Mary? Phil's in Cary, North Carolina. Nash Vegas. I don't say that. That's the first time in my life I've ever said Nash Vegas. Sorry, NC. Nashville's in the house. I don't like that. Hong Kong. Art from London. South Africa, Oakland, Seoul, Korea, San Francisco checking in, Namibia, man, people from everywhere. More Argentina. V8 Dave, STL represent. Russia's in the house. Jupiter, Florida's in the house. Puerto Rico. Ooh, Guanajuato, Mexico. What's up, Jorge? Hello from Italy. What's up, Cesare? Valencia, Spain's in the house. What's up, Pablo? PDX. Fix it up, Jack. This is fun. We got a great session for you. It starts in 37 seconds. Rhythmic Graffiti says behind you. I'm not going to look. I'm not going to fall for that again. Rhythmic Graffiti. João Fernandes is in Portugal. We got Plymouth, England. We got Gothenburg, Sweden. More Argentina. Argentina is representing. And he says Nash Vegas is pretty accurate. That town has changed a lot in my lifetime. Do y'all remember Nashville in like the 90s? Not the Nashville of today. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. It's lovely to be practicing with you here on this gorgeous Saturday. It's a morning for me. I love waking up on these Saturday mornings with you, practicing, because I love to practice. And I love having my coffee, figuring out something that I want to work on today. So let's get to it, because I want to work on something that's fairly basic. It sounds like this. We're going to do a few different things here. We're going to start with these. By the way, this is the beat from Cold Sweat, Clyde Stubblefield, James Brown's Cold Sweat. We're going to start with something like this. Pretty great. Then we're going to move to something like this. Then we're going to move to something like this. And then finally, we're going to finish with something kind of stupid. Something like this. My name is Adam Manis. This is Open Studio, and today we're working on my Go-To Voicings. And this is going to be a fairly straightforward voicing practice. We're going to talk about a 2-5-1 in the key of F. We're going to discuss a number of things here, like one-hand specials, what those are, two-hand specials, what those are, spreads, and then finally, stupid substitutions. We're going to talk about some pretty stupid substitutions. There is a PDF for this session, by the way, and I encourage you to download that. That is right in the description. You can download that. That's yours to keep and to follow along if you want to check out these voicings. We'll be talking about just what builds a voicing from the ground up to start with, and then how we can take that sort of ground up thinking, stacking thirds, and turning them into something a little more interesting. This is not going to be a top-down kind of guided practice session. I just want to put that out there. This is going to be very, very specific. I don't often talk about the specific voicings I'm playing. We talk more about like chord changes. You know, here's the 2-chord, the cush chords, you know, the modal interchange, that kind of stuff, or maybe pulling back with the circle of fifths on some things. We talk a lot about that kind of stuff. I don't often talk about the voicings that really are my go-tos, the ones that I pull out all the time, that I know always sound beautiful and always lead to, more importantly, some really great voice leading. That's what we're going to be working on today. So these are my go-tos. Again, download that PDF. This is brought to you by Open Studio. You can go to openstudiojazz.com if you want to go on a deeper dive on all this and start our free trial. That's not the button I meant to push. This is the button I meant to push. And yeah, that should do it. So let's get to it, shall we? If we take a look here at our first slide, please. No, I'm kidding. I'm the one who runs this. But here's a 2-5-1 in the key of F, right? We're going to be in the key of F all day today. I've got 4 different things that we're going to work on. And we're going to start with just explaining what we mean when we mean upper extensions, because that's key to making some really crunchy, beautiful voicings. So we call this a 2-5-1 in the key of F, because if we're in F, our G minor 7, that's the 2 chord. The C7, that's the 5 chord, right? It's just the second chord up, the G minor 7, it's the second chord up from F. The C is the 5th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th tone up from F. And then, of course, the 1 is the F in the key of F. Now, we build harmony here, and we label harmony. We don't build anything, but we label it based on these thirds, right? So we have here the root, the G minor 7, the root, the 3rd, the 5th, the 7th, the 9th, the 11th, and the 13th. Let me repeat that and call these out. So the root G, the 3rd, remember we're in the key of F, B flat, the 5th, D, the 7th, F, the 9th, A, the 11th, C, and the 13th, E. Now, I want you to notice something about these notes here. We have 7 notes in this chord. These 7 notes are the 7 notes of the F major scale. We're back to F, right? That was the F major scale. F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. This chord is the F major scale, all the notes of F major. Starting on G, again, we label it from G, the root 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13, when we're talking about a G minor 7. Now, the same thing can be said when we build up from a C7. We label it starting at C, root 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13. So the root is C for a C7 chord. The third is E for a C7 chord in the key of F. The fifth is G. The seventh is B flat. The ninth is D. The 11th is F. And the 13th is A. This is a more intense chord because of that interval here, which is why oftentimes when people play a full 13 with the 9 and the 11, they sharp the 11. So you often hear this because it's less tense, that major 9 than the minor 9. One of the reasons. And then we have our 1 chord, the F. And if we build up from F, root 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13. And again, that 11th is very, very tense, which is if you ever play an F major with 11th, most often, not always, but most often, you'll do something like a sharp 11 for a Lydian sound. You'll alter that extension to kind of make it sound a different way. Now notice when you alter those extensions, it takes it out of the key of F. This, with that sharp 11, that B natural, that's from the key of C. But with that natural B flat, this is a tense stack. So oftentimes you either omit the 11th if you're doing upper extensions, or you'll sharp it. There are ways to do an F11 chord that sound great, but it's definitely more of like an acquired taste and not used as often as just no 11 or a sharp 11. So those are the kind of things. By the way, the minor chords, the 11ths and the 13ths, I think they sound great. 13th is a little more trickier, but the 11th, as we'll see, is useful always. So what we do with this information, is like we don't play voicings hardly ever in a stack of thirds. This is a very dense, I mean, we're here, we're like under 2 octaves. We have every note of the F major scale, right? The G Dorian scale, all crammed into this little space, all a third apart. It's a lot. It's a very intense sound. In fact, it's really hard to hear all of the pitches. But if we took these same 7 notes and you just used a 1 inversion, little space, all of a sudden things open up. And if you spread it out even more, it opens up even more. And you can just keep going, spreading things out. I'll try to hit this. Right, just spreading all the things, or omitting or doing different kinds of voicings to punctuate different parts of the chord, which is what leads us to our very first example. We're going to call this the one-handed special. The one-hand special. One-hand specials. One's hands specials. So here's what we have here. We've got a 2-5-1 progression in the key of F. Now I also have this A flat 9 sus, which we're going to use to get back to our G minor 9. That A flat 9 sus is really like a tritone substitution of a D7. You don't need to know any of that. All you need to know is if you slide in from a half step above to any chord using a sus dominant, it's going to sound chef's kiss amazing. So let's take a look here at our one hand special, and let's see if we can find what notes we're using. So I say one hand special, and yet I have 2 hands written. Whatever am I talking about? Well, I just wanted to give you the option to put the root here in your left hand so you can hear what it sounds like, because in the one hand specials, there's no root in the actual chord in our right hand. These are great for right hand voicings. These are great for left hand voicings, as we're going to see in a minute. But for right hand voicings, they're just great. And if you're a pianist, do not sleep on right hand only voicings. They're incredibly useful for all kinds of playing, not just comping, but for soloing with melodies, for playing melodies with chords, for melodic work. You can break up any of these shapes. You could do a whole solo with these chords broken up into melodies. They're the juicy notes of the chord. That's why we use them. So do not sleep on practicing right hand voicings. Crucial. That's why I started with the one hand special with the right hand. So here we have on our right hand, we've got the 3rd, we've got the 11, we got the 7th, and we got the 9. You might be saying, well, the 11 is way down here. Wouldn't that just be the 4? Whenever you have a 7th in a chord, In this case, we do have the seventh, F. Whenever the seventh is in the chord, any other extension, the 9, the 11, or the 13, those are the three upper extensions, those have to be labeled 9, 11, or 13 because the seventh is in that chord and you're stacking on top of that from a technical perspective, right? So if there's no seventh in the chord, if it's just a G minor triad with a C, now it's a G minor add 4, right? Or it could be a G minor 6, right? That because it's not the seventh. So that seventh is the crucial thing for, is it a 9th, 11th, or a 13th? Is there a seventh? Yes, then yes, it's a 9th, 11th, or 13th. So here is our G minor 11 chord, right? We've got the 3rd, the 11, the 7th, and the 9 on top. Now notice something about this shape. It's an F major triad with the B flat there, a little cluster in the bottom. You're going to be noticing a lot of my voicings that are my go-tos have a mixture of intervals. It's not just a stack of thirds, it's not just a stack of fourths. They're usually seconds and sixths and thirds and fourths and all kinds of a mixture of intervals because it sounds really good. Here we've got this second right on the bottom and then a fourth. If we move that C up to a D, and that's a stack of thirds, right? That's still a G minor 9. So great sounding voicing. There's nothing wrong with that voicing. But listen to the difference between just moving that one note, stack of thirds, and now you have a mixture. Seconds, fourths, and thirds. Hear how much more that cuts? That feels like a block, like a punchy brick, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, just a different texture. That feels like a piece of glass. You know what I mean? There's that big difference. For our C13, we're going to stay as close as possible to our G minor 11. Remember, this isn't about individual voicings. This is about good voice leading. So we're going to stay as close as possible. We're going to keep the 7th on the bottom. We're going to move the 11th up a half step to the D flat. We're going to move the 7th down a half step, the 7th of G minor, down a half step to E, which is now the 3rd of C13 flat 9. That's the E. And we keep that A on top. That's the 13. So this has a flat 9. This is often something you see done with dominant chords specifically. Things like the 9 and the 13 and the 11, all three upper extensions can be altered in almost any way. It's what makes dominant chords so malleable is that they can be they're almost like workhorses of harmony, right? We can throw all the tension, throw the entire kitchen sink on the dominant chords and they can take it because they're already naturally tense. It's kind of like, you know, if you have like someone who's really frantic and frenetic, like they can like handle the pressure because they're used to living in there. And the dominant chord is already tense just as a triad, right? And so if you add things on top of that, it just adds to the tension, which is what we want in this situation. So here's our C13, again, 7, flat 9, 3rd, and 13. And again, it's a flat 9 and a 13 because there's a 7th in the chord, right? We got our root there in our left hand. Now we have our F6-9 voicing. Now notice, this is a very specific chord. So there's no 7th, but we call this a 6-9 because of this particular shape. This is what we usually... The 6 is actually replacing the 7th in the context of this chord. This chord is used as a tonic chord most often because if the melody happens to be the root, you don't want a major 7 because of that minor 9 or half step clash. So we use 6-9 chords. Here we have the 3rd, the 5th, the 6th, and the 9. And again, in this case, there's no 7, but that 6 is replacing that 7, and we're adding that 9 on top. So it is an F6-9, very common voicing, especially for a tonic. Now we've got our A flat 9, sus 4. Here we have simply a G flat major triad with that added A flat over an A flat chord. So we've got the 7th, the root, the 9, and the 4th. And this is a sus 4. Right? You could also call this G flat add 9 over A flat. There's a million ways to label this. We'll call this a sus 4 because that C is actually sussed up to the 4th. The 3rd is sussed up to the 4. Beautiful sounding voicing. This takes us to our G minor 9. We've got the 7th, the 9, the 3rd, and the 5. Again, this is just a stack of thirds, but a different inversion, right? You could also think about that as like a B flat major 7 over G. But again, we have the 7th, the 9, the 3rd, and the 5. Man. Next up, we've got a C7 sharp 9 flat 13. This is an entirely different kind of dominant tension than the first C13 chord. That first C13 chord had a natural 9 and a natural 13 and a flat 9. This has a sharp 9 and a flat 13. It's a whole other tension. It's based off a whole different scale. Most of the time, if you see C13 flat 9 or top C7, that's based off of the half whole diminished scale. When you see a C7 flat 13 sharp 9, that's usually based off of the altered scale. Could also label this chord C7 altered. So that's our big C7 sharp 9 flat 13 voicing. And then we're going to end here on this F major 13. It's hard to read here so low, but we have E, G, A, and D, right, in our right hand. E, G, A, and D. This shape here. And again, look at the mixture of intervals. Third, second, fourth. That's why it sounds good. And we're going to go back with another A flat 9, sus 4. Again, with the 9, the sus 4, the 7th, and the root. Let's try playing this. See how it sounds. 1, 2, 3. Again, repeat it. Let's do it again. One more time. How special is this minor 11 voicing? I stole that from Peter Martin, who might be watching. Sorry, Pete, but I did steal that straight from you. Isn't that great? It's a beautiful shape. It's a beautiful shape. But again, one of the reasons why I call these the one-hand special, even though I know I have the left hand written, but you were hearing what I was doing there with the bass movement. If you were ever accompanying someone, say it's just you and a horn player or you and a vocalist, or you're accompanying yourself when you're singing, these 4-note voicings in your right hand with 1 note in your left, where you can really be the bass player and the accompanist and the chord, is so important to know. Like, they're so much fun and so useful and handy to have as a tool. Really, really great. Okay, let's check out our second go-to voicing. By the way, really quickly, if you like what you're seeing here right now, if this is your jam, don't forget to like and subscribe. I know this is a trope, but it really makes a difference for us. If you haven't hit the like button already, hit it right now for me. Just give me a little solid, and then make sure to subscribe. We go live all the time, so you might want to subscribe. And of course, you can always go to openstudiojazz.com if you want to go on a deeper dive. Okay, let's look at our next set of voicings here, the two-handed special. Now, we're going to think about this in the same way that we were thinking about the stacks of thirds, right? We're going to be thinking about what are our relationships here in these inversions. Here's our G minor 11. So we've got the 7th in the left hand. We have 2 notes in the left and 3 notes in the right. Some of these, or one of these, has 4 notes in the right, as we'll see, but most of these are 2 in the left, 3 in the right. So here's our 7th of G minor, our 3rd of G minor, our 5th of G minor, our root of G minor, and then that 11th. Now, this is a beautiful voicing, and again, it sounds very fourthy, but there is a 3rd here right in the middle. So we've got a 4th, a 3rd, a 4th, and a 4th. Now, notice something about these is there is no bass note at all. These are meant to be played if you're playing with a bassist. So if you're in a band with a bass player, these are incredible voicings to use when there's already a bassist. That doesn't mean that you can't ever play roots when there's a bass player. You certainly can. You don't want to be doing like crazy busy bass lines like I was doing in the last example, but you can play voicings that have roots. You don't have to leave the root out. But if you want to leave the root out, if you want sort of a crisp rootless sound, these are your go-tos. So here again, the 7th, the 3rd, the 5th, the root, and the 11th. If we put the root on the bottom so you could hear it, that's nice. That's nice. For our C7, again, we're going to have a flat 9 sharp 11 with that natural 13. So that's the same kind of chord as we had in the first example. And it's very similar shape, actually. We've got here the 3rd, the 7th of C7, right? The 3rd E, the 7th B flat, the flat 9 again, D flat. We're going to add the sharp 11. Remember I said that you usually don't see a natural 11 on a dominant 7th chord because of that tension. You add that sharp 11, it's a little bit, it's still tense, but it's very crisp. A natural 13A, and then we're going to put a root on top. Again, if I put the bass down here, gorgeous. That's another one stolen straight from piano. And then we have our F6-9, right? We've got the root, the 3rd, the 6th, the 9, and we'll put the 5 on top. So the first 3 chords sound like this. That's some voice leading. Also notice the right hand. Same right hand on the first chord as the second. In fact, there's only one note difference, the B flat and the A. Our A flat 9 sus. Right, we've got this A flat, the root, the sus4, the 7th, the 9, and the 5. Again, there's no 3rd in the chord, so this is a sus4, not an 11. There's no 3rd, it's a sus. And there's no 3rd, but there's a 4th, that's a sus chord. To our G minor, this is actually, that should say G minor 11, not G minor 9, G minor 11. We got the root, the 11, the 7, the 3rd, and the 5. This is the so what voicing, right? You got a 4th, a 4th, a 4th, and then a 3rd on the top. Again, it's all about mixing these voicings. I don't have any voicings, it's just a stack of something. I have at least one varied interval in my voicings. Our C7, sharp 9, flat 13. We've got the 7th B flat. We've got the 3rd E. We've got the flat 13 A flat. We've got the root C, and we've got the E flat. You might be saying, well, like, if the bass player is playing C, why double the root at all? Listen to the difference. That's without the root, no C. Here's with the C. The tension that this triad creates, that like intensity, that the intervals of those thirds stacked over our fourths here, that makes this voicing. So this feels too thin. It's not bad, but it feels a little thin. But you add that C in there, it's like a slap in the face. It's like a punch in the gut. It's like a kick in, you know what it is. It's like it's impactful. And then our F major 13, we've got the 3rd, we've got the 13, we've got the 9, we've got the 5th, and we got the 7th. And again, this is not a 6, that's a 13, because we got the 7th here. If there's no 7th, that's a 6. That D is a 6, by the way. And then we got our A flat 9 sus 4. Again, there's no 3rd in this chord, so this D flat on top is a 4. Sus 4. Okay, let's try playing this. You're going to like this. I'm going to play it with you at first, and then I'm going to switch to the bass so you can hear how this is. 1, 2, 3. Do it again with you. And add some rhythm too here. All right, you keep going. I'm going to play a bass line. You got it from the top. again. One more time. You know what I mean? Those sound so good. Again, don't forget to download the PDF so you can take these with you. We do have a whole worksheet where you can see all of this, including the stacked thirds. Man, those sound good. Those are so great. This super crunchy flat 9 sharp 11 13, that is like so handy. You will use that on all your 2/5s. Don't overuse it, but man, that's so nice. Okay. I've got another voicing structure here, and this is going to be easy, especially considering we've already played half of these chords. So if we look at our left hand, they're pretty high up here, but these are the exact same voicings that we started with our right hand. These are our spread voicings. So we've got a crunchy chord in our left hand, and we've got a spread of a perfect fifth and an octave in our right hand. These are sort of the Red Garland style spread voicings that are just so beautiful, but they're used in all different kinds of contexts. And actually these can make like beautiful orchestra voicings and big band voicings as well. They're a train of sound. They really are. You get on a big, like, 9-foot Steinway with these things, and they will like fill up the piano. They're just gorgeous. So here again, same voicings in our left hand that we had in example 1 for our right hand special, but now they're in our left hand, our one hand special, I should say. B flat, that's the 3rd, the 11, the 7th F, and the 9 A. And then we got a D, A, D. Bam. For our C13 flat 9, we're gonna go B flat, that's the 7th of C, 7, flat 9, D flat, 3rd E, and again the 9 on top, and then we're gonna move our right hand up a perfect fifth, A, E, A, way up here. For the F6-9, we've got the 3rd, 5, 6, 9. And in our right hand, we've got a C, G, C. Again, notice all the right hand voicings are a fifth from the bottom note and then an octave from the bottom note. It's very important, that structure. For our A flat 7 sus, same voicing in our left hand that we had in our right hand in example 1, our one hand special. G flat, A flat, B flat, and D flat. The 7th, the root, the 9th, and the 4th, the sus4. And then we've got the 13, the 3rd, and the F up top here, creating this tension. So cool. You can put the 3rd on top of the 4th. If you put the 3rd below the 4th in a chord like this, it's an 11. If you put it on top, it's a sus. If the 4th is on the bottom, you know what I mean? Pretty cool. Back to our G minor 9, 7th, 9, 3rd, 5. And then we got our, 3rd, 7, 3rd. Our C7, sharp 9, flat 13. 3rd, flat 9, 7th, dominant 7th, sharp 9. On our right hand, sharp 9, dominant 7th, sharp 9. E flat, B flat, E flat. Our F major 13, 7th, 9, 3rd, D, E, G, A, and D. And then the spread from the 5th, 5, 9, 5, C, G, C in F. Our A flat 9 sus4 on the bottom here, got the 9, the sus4, the 7th, and the root, and then we got the sus4, the root, and sus4. Okay, listen to these. I'm going to play these all in succession. Listen, and you can make melodies with these. Check this out. Again, I'm going in here in a pattern in the right hand of up a 4th, down a 5th, up a 4th, down a 5th, up a 4th, down a 5th, and then up chromatically back. Let's try playing this. 1, 2, 3. Let's do it again. How great are those? Okay, let's do it some more. I'm going to play the bass. You keep up with these chords. Here you go. One more time. Little double time swing. Aren't those great? They're so beautiful. The left hand can be very tricky to get some of these clusters in, but I promise you, if you work on those for just a couple of sessions, they'll become a lot easier, a lot faster. And those are not just, useful for these spread voicings, but if you're soloing and you want some good chords to comp for yourself, they're so good. So nice. So anyway, that's our third voicing style. Now, I've got one more here. Someone's asking in the chat, does the 14-day trial to Open Studio include your new Harmony Games course? Yes, it does. You can get my new course, the Harmony Games, if you sign up for the 14-day trial. You can check that out in a matter of minutes here without spending any money, which is pretty cool. Okay, our last slide. Slide, please. Thank you. Our last slide here is our stupid substitutions slide, said unironically. I just tried to be kind of gross with these substitutions. I just wanted to melt your face a little bit. Really has nothing to do with the voicings other than I tried to maintain some similar voicing principles, and I wanted to add some kind of substitution movement to each one of the chords. So let's look at what's going on here. Actually, I'm just going to play it really quick so you can hear what we're doing. How about all that, just to start, but then... So I wanted to add some kind of way to substitute some of these chords in the 2-5-1 to make it fun. And we've done that here. With these. So what's going on here? We've got a G minor 9. We've got our G add 9 over B. That's the Open Studio Mu chord. We've got a C9 sus. So we're going to sus here our C7 chord and then answer it with the voicing that we had. This should actually, that C13 flat 9 sharp 11, that should have a 7th on it. Apologies for that. That should have a B flat in the left hand. Somehow got missed. Our C13 flat 9 over F. That's a little Barry Harrisism right there, a little scale of chords. Then we're going to do a tritone sub instead of our A flat. We're going to go E flat 9 sus to our D7. sharp 9, flat 13, D flat 9 sus to our C7, right? So that D7 is like, that's the tritone of the A flat that we were, tritone sub of the A flat that we were using. The D flat is like a 2 chord almost to the C, right? It's like a G7, tritone sub. And then our E7, sharp 9, flat 13, that's just another thing that I've, one of many here in this lesson apparently, that I've ripped off from Peter Martin, where we approach our major chord, our major tonic, from the altered dominant from a half step below, in this case E7, sharp 9, flat 13. This is sick, by the way. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but this is pretty good. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3. Try it again. One more time. Hey. Okay, one more time for real though. Dang, I just closed my entire second computer there, just stomping down on it. That's pretty great. That's pretty fun, isn't it? That has really, I said it's stupid substitutions. This has zero to do with anything I've taught up to this point in this lesson, other than I was kind of messing around with the 2-5-1 and I was like, well, this would sound good. And so I thought you would have fun with this too. So there's that. Sometimes we just do things because we like the way they sound, and there's nothing wrong with that. Thank you so much for your work here today. This was super fun, everybody. Again, make sure, if you haven't already, to like and subscribe. It really helps our YouTube channel, and we appreciate it. And then you stay in touch with us when our videos come out. And again, my new course, The Harmony Games, is out on Open Studio. You can go start your free trial, and you can start that course today, dealing with a lot of things we're talking about today, including those substitutions we just did. That's The Harmony Games, openstudiojazz.com for your 14-day free trial. And there we go. That's the session. If you have any questions in the chat, let her rip, because that's what we are here for. I'm going to hit my coffee. Let's check out this chat. Geo Cosmic Valentine says, that wasn't stupid. It was spicy hot. That's true. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, David. Thank you, Jen. Thanks for the kind words, everybody. Thank you, Colleen. Yeah, Harmony Games are super fun. Super fun. Thank you, Jorge. Thank you, Vineyard Worker. Cool. Thanks, everybody. Any questions on anything? Anything at all? While you got me here? We are live right now, by the way. If you're watching this in a replay, we are live at the moment. My next session, by the way, is this Monday on Open Studio Pro. So if you're an Open Studio Pro member, you can come check out the Repertoire Club. This coming Monday, we're going to be working more on some Ruby My Dear from Thelonious Monk. Probably some voicings over there as well. And then I have a listening session for Open Studio members again this Tuesday. So those are my upcoming sessions. Dan says, when will John Batiste be invited to Open Studio? Dan, we might have invited John already. But yeah, we are obviously huge fans. If you ever watched our podcast or listened to our podcast, you'll hear it with Peter and myself. We're always hyping up J-Bat, as we affectionately call him, because he's incredible. So yeah, that would be great. Do you know him? Peter knows him a little bit, but you got a hookup. Let's bring him through. Amy says, how would you incorporate this into your playing? learn these in all 12 keys or something more about learning to see them on the fly. Yeah, Amy, like literally just memorizing like this is the shape for a G minor 11 or G minor 7 chord or a 2 chord. This is where you start. You don't have to learn them all in 12 keys the first day. Just be able to do this whenever you see a G minor chord. You know what I mean? Whenever you have a C7 and you want to use the flat 9, just be able to recognize that you have this option. And you can put them in a system too. I use the 2-5-1 for a reason because it's a common chord progression. And so you're going to see this a lot, especially with like jazz standards and Great American Songbook standards. So yeah, practice them in just the 1 key at first and really learn them. And then taking them through all 12 keys is the best way to internalize them because it forces you to learn them on an intervallic level. Like, what are their relationships? Like, oh, the 3rd is on the bottom. And then there's that cluster of the major 2nd. And then there's the 7th and the 9. Or you can think about it like, oh, it's a G minor 9 chord. But really, the top part of the chord is an F triad. And then you just add the 3rd. Like, those kind of systems of thinking, oh, F triad with the 3rd. That's where it gets golden. And then, ultimately, you're not thinking at all. Yeah, the app is Drum Genius for the metronome, if anybody wanted to know. That was Clyde Stubblefield. Cold Sweat. Giovanni says, hi, Adam. I've been a student of Open Studio, and I thank you for your wonderful lessons, but I would want to ask you if there's a new course with emphasis in playing outside specifically. You know, we haven't done a new course on playing outside, Giovanni, in a while. You were bringing this directly to my attention, and that is something I haven't really thought about in a minute. All of our courses, not all of our courses, but a lot, especially our modern courses, deal with that a little bit. You might check out, though, Giovanni, honestly, you might check out Aaron Park's course because Aaron Park's course is, first of all, it's brilliant start to finish, but I know deep into like the improvisation parts, he does talk about playing outside. And it's his whole mind on how he works on that is incredible. So you should check out Aaron Park's course. It's called Meditations on Jazz Piano. It's beautiful. He's a beautiful player in person, and he's a great teacher too. He's got an incredible voice, and he's got an incredible way of speaking about music that is not just like, I'm going to learn some cool ways to play outside, but it's very inspiring as an artist. Roberto says, and this is important, I just want to address this. Great to listen to you, but it's too quick for me. I just should have to listen, stop, fix, and restart. So Roberto, this replay will be available after the fact here for indefinitely. As long as there's YouTube, this video will likely be up unless I do something shocking in the next 10 minutes. But this video will be up and you'll be able to stop and start at will. I love feedback like this because I'm always looking to find the right flow. I have to stay true to my right flow with things, as I think all teachers do, but I am interested in trying to get like a good flow for people who are more on the beginner side, but also keep it interesting for people who kind of already know this stuff, but are on the, they're further down the path. They kind of know these intervals and they maybe even know some of these voicings, but they still want to work on the mechanics of it. I'm trying to really strike a balance here. So I appreciate any feedback like that. I might not be able to hit of course, I'm not gonna be able to hit everybody at their skill level all the time, but I'm interested in like, how can we make stuff that's kind of appealing for people no matter where they are on their journey? So I appreciate you said you at least like listening to me talk about it, because that's part of it too, is if we can kind of make it somewhat entertaining as we're talking about things that might be over your head, eventually just by listening to it and being around it, you're going to absorb it. So that's the goal. Paul Falcon says Noah Kellman has an awesome approach to playing outside. Yeah, I'll second that. Noah's great, and he's got a ton of great videos on that stuff too. Rodolfo says it'd be great to learn more about your rhythm. Your 16th note YouTube short is amazing. Thank you. That was a fun one. The displacement. Yeah. I think rhythm is one of the hardest things to teach, especially in this medium, right? Where I have to like be one-sided with this. It's like imagine teaching the rhythm of what I'm speaking, Rodolfo. Like if you could notate the rhythm and pace at which I'm speaking, would that be helpful for learning how to copy my voice? Probably not, right? You could of course read the content of what I'm speaking. That's the voicings that we were just talking about. You could read the notes, but can you get the feel and the cadence and the decisions, the tiny decisions that a speaker of a native language is using? Like when I hear people speak Italian, I can learn Italian words, but it would take several years, if not most of my life, and I might never become, fluent as a native speaker in Italian, because it's something you have to absorb and hear. So the best way to learn rhythm is to listen. And I don't mean that in like a vague general sense. Who are your favorite rhythmic players? Like for me, Chick Corea comes to mind. The crisp eighth note, super important to me. Kenny Kirkland comes to mind. Again, another crisp eighth note. McCoy Tyner, same. We think about them, the pentatonic things. But no. Their rhythmic interpretation is what I'm most interested in. Brad Meldau, I think, has an incredible rhythmic voice that's just his. That little triplet-y things that he's always doing, that is I'm a sucker for, and I know is in my own playing, as it is in most of ours. And then I think even more recently, I've been influenced by someone younger than me, Sullivan Fortner, and I try to absorb as much of Sullivan's like genius rhythm, his phrasing of rhythm as I can, because I've never heard anything like it, and I kind of love it, and I want it to be part of me. And I think we can our whole life be doing that, but you have to take some intention. I don't just mean like, again, just go listen to who you want to sound like, and like pay attention. What is their rhythmic thing? What are they doing? Play with them. Mark says, I'm really enjoying your chords lesson. I just finished your magic voicing system in the pentatonic course. Would be great to have a follow-up of this course showing off how to apply these voicings on standards. Mark, that's a great idea, actually. I'll put some thought into that. I'm in the middle of planning my next course. I think it's just going to be called Voicings. And so that could be something I do, is I take all of these voicing structures through some tunes. It's a great idea. Jessica says, how would you suggest going from classically trained to getting more familiarity with complex harmonies? There's so much out there. It can be easy to get overwhelmed with it all. Yeah. Something that we talk about here, Jessica, is that you can't information your way to becoming a better player. There's so much. If information was all you needed, we'd all be amazing, because now we all have the internet and YouTube and Google. And I mean, I often say this too, like, with beginner jazz students, I'll say, like, raise your hand if you have the Mark Levine jazz piano or jazz theory book. Almost everybody raises their hand. And I said, well, if information was all we needed, anybody who's read that book would be a great player, because there's really all the information you need to be a great player in there. But it's not what it's about. Jessica, I would say take the minimal thing, one thing, and play it again and again. Design your musical life to where you're playing the things that hit you in the heart every day, and just keep coming back to them. The information you're going to find the content. Like, it's not, we're getting hit over the head. I'm hitting you over the head with content currently. You know what I mean? There's plenty of content. We're not short of it. And the key is to I think a trap that we can fall into is like seeing all the content that's out there and being like, oh, I got to have all this content. If I just could memorize all this content or absorb all this content, then I'd be great. But that's not how this works. That's not what actually makes you better. I've heard 15-year-old kids sound better than lifelong musicians, because the 15-year-old kids have something that the lifelong musicians don't have. And that's a confidence with themselves and ability to play the music in a way that reaches other people, where someone who knows all the theory in the world, but doesn't have the confidence to communicate that theory, is not as impactful as a 15-year-old kid who's just learning the music, but they're like, I'm talking about phenomenal 15-year-old kids that don't know any theory really, but they have a thing and they're expressing it, and there's no blockage to that. So that has nothing to do with information. That's a how, not a what, right? The how is greater than the what in every case. The what will come. And like, it's not like the what is not important at all. The what is part of it, but it's like the what is inevitable. We're going to play something. You're going to have taste with something, but we often ignore the how and the why of why we're playing something, how we're playing something, and think like, if I just had more things, I'd be better. But it's really like, the way I play this was more impactful, and the why of I did it was from an authentic place, you are going to reach so many more people, and you're going to connect so deeply with music, other than just like, now I understand. And I realize I'm saying this after just hosting a live session dealing with a bunch of upper structure harmony chords. The what is fun, but the how is more important, and the why. Super L says Sullivan Fortner's latest album, Solo Game, is a must hear. It's one of the best albums of the last 10 years. Yeah. Okay. Tiffany says, are minor ninths considered more dissonant than major sevenths? They're both a half step away from an octave. I see people altering extensions to avoid minor sevenths, but we use minor ninths, but we use major sevenths all the time. Yeah, Tiffany, minor ninths are considered, for some reason, more dissonant than major sevenths. Does it seem that way to you? Seems about the same to me. So it's just something to think of, because dissonance and consonance is conditioned and it's cultural, and it depends on where you were born and when you were born. There's 100% certainty that someone born in 900, the year 900, somewhere in, whatever, medieval Europe, would think this chord is horrible, terrible to listen to, much less this chord. But this chord now to our ears is like, oh, that's sweet, especially going to this. This chord would be controversial. You know what I mean? Anything besides this would be controversial. So dissonance is a construct that is all in our heads, literally. Will says, can you play the Thomas the Train theme? No. Amy says, thanks for highlighting Sullivan Fortner's work. Sean says, can you do a class on those sweet bass lines that you did? Sean, I'm self-conscious about my bass lines, honestly. I haven't done anything on them because I'm like, I'm still kind of working on it, Will again says, can you play the Thomas the Train theme? No. Let's see. Yeah, Tiffany, spot on. It's all cultural. I mean, when we hear Monk, play that tritone, literally called the devil's interval by some people, but it's so beautiful to me. It just depends on the context and the culture, for real. Will, you're welcome. Sean, let me think about it. Yeah, I'm a little bit self-conscious. Okay, our hour is up. Not that I don't love being here. Does anybody else have any more questions right before you go? I'll give you another 10 count here in case I missed something. Space Kangaroo, glad you're here as well. Cool. Don't forget to hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the Open Studio YouTube channel, where you been? We have shorts. We have these lives that we do. We are about to... spoiler alert, there might be some very long form videos coming to the Open Studio YouTube channel, like hour plus long videos. If you know, you know. So make sure to subscribe. Oh, nice. Will started Open Studio yesterday. It's great, isn't it? Yeah, we're super proud. Rick says favorite chord. That'd be like favorite child, Rick. And it's my dog. No, just kidding. No, I don't have a favorite chord. Direct to Inquisition. That would certainly cause a religious uprising for sure. Oh, MAHB Music says, how do you practice licks fast? Slowly, as slowly as you can. Ooh, I got a good one here. Kirk says, Mantooth magic voicings equal OS magic? No, Kirk, this is good. I'm going to stay around for this one because I love this. So when I released the Magic Voicing System course, there were a couple of Facebook ads for the course, and there were a ton of comments like, this is just a Frank Mantooth. They're called Miracle Voicings. Kirk is what his voicings were called. I had that book when I was a kid. It's not even close to the same system. There are some of the same shapes, like that shape, that So What voicing shape, but the system of the Magic Voicings is based off of pentatonic scale, which Frank Mantooth never mentioned. So this shape for Mantooth is one of the Miracle Voicings. It's a C major, it's an A minor, it's an F major 7, which we talk about as well. But I kind of take with the magic voicing system, it starts here, but we take it a step further. So all of these notes, if you notice, are part of the C pentatonic scale. C, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, and A. I knew I missed one. And so with the magic voicing system, we start here, which is admittedly the same shape as like a Mantooth voicing. They're not, by the way, none of these are made up by us. These are all from things we've seen and heard in music. So this is not like Frank Mantooth's creation or my creation. We're just noticing things, right? Move these, because they're all part of the C major pentatonic scale. Move them, each one, up that major pentatonic scale. So this is where the magic voicing system deviates from anything that Mantooth taught. So now you have a C6-9 voicing here with Mantooth, but now you have 5. Each one of these made up of the notes of the pentatonic scale. And it can be used for A minor, and F major 7, F major 9, major 13. And D minor, D7 sus. And B flat major 7 sharp 11. Again, all notes of the C major pentatonic scale. And then we go into some other things. There are some other systems with the magic voicing system. But yeah, I'm familiar with the Mantooth. It's not the same. There are overlaps with some of the shapes, but his thing is totally different. And it's great too. His whole thing, like I said, nobody who's talking about any of this made any of this up. We're literally taking music we've heard and we're evaluating like, what is that sound and how can we create it and how can we think about it? And so my way of thinking about it is a little bit different than his, but I think all points of this are kind of valid. I hope that answered your question, Kurt. Josh says, Adam, is the A flat still a sus when the C is on top? These are really good questions. So yes. So the A flat is a sus in a voicing if the D flat is on the bottom. So in other words, this is an A flat 7 sus. All right, we got the 7th, the 9th, the sus 4, the 5th, I'll double the 7th, put the 3rd on top. Right? However, this is an A flat 11. The 3rd is on the bottom. Isn't that funny? That's the difference. If the 3rd is on the bottom of a voicing or below, if the 3rd is below the 11, the C is below the D flat, it's an 11. If the D flat is below the C, it's a sus. I know. Who knew? Rebecca says, tips on getting better at identifying the numbers of the various chords on the fly, such as 3rd, 5th, 11th. Hard to make the brain connect quickly. It's nothing but experience. So going through your voicings, go take any song and just do the 3rds and the 7th. Like, take away things, right? I'm just going to do the 3rds. We'll do Autumn Leaves, Rebecca. I don't know if you know Autumn Leaves, but I'm going to play the root in my left hand. I'm just going to do the 3rds of each chord. So C minor, F7, B flat major, E flat major, A minor 7 flat 5, D7, G minor. I'll do the same progression, but just the 7ths of each chord. C minor, F7, B flat major 7, E flat major 7, A minor 7 flat 5, D7, G minor 6. All right, let's do the same progression and we'll just do the 5ths. Flat 5. The 9s. Flat 9s. That's a great way to practice to start. And then you can start mixing it up. I just want to do 3rds and 7ths. But instead of identifying something you're already doing, restrict yourself. Cool. Anything else? Oh, this is a great question too. You guys are crushing it with the questions here. Bat Ninja Ghost says, what are some questions that you still have about theory? It's really, I have so many that I have I never went to school for theory or anything like that. I just went to school for playing and improvising. So I'm learning on the job always. I know what I know, and I put out a lot of stuff. So I find out, like, if I put out anything that's like, this is what I think it is, I'll hear from someone who's very schooled that actually it's this. So there's tons of stuff. I don't know what I don't know, though, Rick says, how many times have you played Autumn Leaves? Like probably 3 or 4 times. I'd never play that song. Like that might have been my 4th time. Jayla makes a great point here, and sing those notes. Also a great point. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Appreciate the work here today. I'll see you on Monday over at Open Studio. If you want to join me for our session, it's at 1 p.m. Eastern. It's all about Thelonious Monk's Ruby My Dear. You can sign up for your free trial for Open Studio and check out our courses, or you can join Open Studio Pro and come to those live sessions. All right. Later, y'all. Cheers.